March 12, 1967. Just before dawn, deep in the Annamite Mountains along the Laotian border. The jungle is still wet from the night rain. Mist hangs low between the trees, clinging to vines and broad leaves, muffling sound and distorting distance. Somewhere to the east, beyond the ridgeline, lies South Vietnam. Somewhere to the west, just a few silent steps away, is Laos, a country American forces are not supposed to be in. 6 men move slowly through the undergrowth. They wear no unit patches. No flag. No name tapes. Their uniforms are faded tiger-striped fatigues, darkened further with mud and charcoal. Faces are smeared black. Rifles are wrapped in tape to prevent metallic noise. Each man carries more ammunition than food, more fear than sleep. They are MACV-SOG. Military Assistance Command, Vietnam Studies and Observations Group. Officially, they do not exist. And if they die here, they will not be acknowledged. The team leader, a U.S. Army Special Forces captain, raises his fist. The patrol freezes instantly. Even breathing seems too loud. A Montagnard indigenous scout kneels, studying the ground. His finger traces a shallow depression in the mud. Fresh. Boot tread, not local. North Vietnamese Army. The captain doesn't swear. He already knows what this means. They have crossed the line. This mission is designated a reconnaissance insertion. On paper, its objective is simple: locate enemy movement near the border. In reality, the team has been tasked with something far more dangerous. They are here to confirm rumors whispered through intelligence channels that the Ho Chi Minh Trail is not just a jungle path, not just a supply route, but an industrial-scale logistics network running openly through Laos. A network the United States government publicly denies exists. The men move again. Slowly. Carefully. The jungle floor is a mosaic of decaying leaves, roots, and mud, each step a calculated risk. One snapped twig, one clink of metal, and the forest will erupt. Hours pass. Then the terrain changes. The undergrowth thins. The trees pull back. And suddenly, the jungle opens. Below them, carved into the valley like a scar, is a road. Not a trail. A road. Wide enough for trucks. Flattened. Reinforced. Tire tracks crisscross its surface, pressed deep into the earth. The Montagnard scout stares, eyes wide. One of the Americans lowers his binoculars slowly, as if afraid the image might disappear. Then they hear it. Engines. Low at first. Distant. Then unmistakable. The convoy emerges from the mist. Soviet-built ZIL trucks roll forward in a steady column, canvas backs stretched tight with cargo. Fuel drums. Crates of ammunition. Rice sacks stacked shoulder high. Soldiers walk alongside the vehicles, rifles slung casually, as if this were a rear area highway and not enemy territory supposedly untouched by American forces. The captain counts silently. 5 trucks. 10. 15. This is not infiltration. This is mass movement. The radio operator begins writing notes in grease pencil, his hands shaking despite years of training. Time. Direction. Number of vehicles. Estimated tonnage. Everything about this scene contradicts the official narrative of the war. Above them, American aircraft roar somewhere far away. They will never come here. The men stay hidden for hours, watching traffic move both directions. At one point, a bulldozer appears, pushing earth to widen the road. Another crew lays logs across a muddy section, creating a primitive but effective corduroy surface. This is not improvisation. This is engineering. By mid-afternoon, the reality is undeniable. The Ho Chi Minh Trail is not a trail. It is a supply artery. Protected, repaired, expanded. And it runs straight through a neutral country the United States claims to respect. The captain knows the implications immediately. If this information becomes public, it exposes the scale of the war beyond Vietnam's borders. It raises questions Washington does not want asked. Why has this route not been cut? Why is Laos officially untouched while enemy divisions move freely through it? And more importantly, how many other teams have seen this and never come back? The radio crackles softly as the operator prepares to transmit a coded burst. The message will be brief, vague, sanitized. Anything too explicit will be filtered out long before it reaches anyone who can act on it. They cannot say what they are seeing. They can only hint. As the sun begins to drop, the captain gives the signal to pull back. Night movement is suicide this deep inside enemy territory. The team fades back into the jungle, leaving the road behind, untouched and unstoppable. None of them speak. They all understand the same thing. They have just witnessed a war within a war. One that officially does not exist. Night falls quickly in the mountains. The jungle, already dark beneath the canopy, turns into a black void broken only by faint slivers of moonlight. The team moves uphill, away from the road, retracing their entry route one careful step at a time. Every sense is sharpened now. The mountaineer scout leads, barefoot and silent, reading the forest like a map written in shadows. Behind him, the point man scans the darkness through starlight scopes, the green glow barely illuminating tree trunks and tangled vines. The radio operator lags slightly behind, antenna folded low, knowing that a single transmission here could summon death within minutes. Somewhere below, engines continue to growl. The road does not sleep. The captain halts the patrol again. He crouches beside a fallen log and peers downslope. Through a gap in the foliage, he sees something that tightens his chest. Lights. Dim, hooded, carefully masked. Moving in pairs. Then more. Dozens of them. The convoy is still flowing, even after dark. Trucks pull into a clearing that should not exist. Few drums are unloaded with practiced efficiency. Men move like clockwork, no shouting, no confusion. Armed guards fan out along the tree lane. This is not a supply line. It is a system. The team remains frozen for nearly an hour as traffic passes below. No one whispers. No one adjusts their gear. Sweat runs down backs and into eyes. Mosquitoes bite freely. The jungle hums with insects, frogs, and unseen movement, but beneath it all lies the mechanical pulse of logistics at work. Eventually, the lights fade. The captain gives a slow hand signal and the team moves again. Their exfiltration route winds through steep terrain, chosen deliberately to avoid predictable movement corridors. Still, the sense of being hunted never leaves them. Branches snap in the distance. Once, a flare bursts somewhere far to the west, bathing the treetops in white light before dying away. They are lucky. They reach a rally point just before dawn. The men collapse into defensive positions, too exhausted to speak. The radio operator sets up the burst transmitter, his hands steady now. Training takes over. The message is coded, compressed, and deliberately vague. Heavy logistical activity observed west of border. Vehicle traffic continuous. Infrastructure improved. Enemy presence substantial. Nothing more. Anything clearer will be stripped away. Minutes later, the transmission is complete. The radio is dismantled and buried under leaves. The team waits, rifles pointed outward, as the sky lightens. When extraction finally comes, it is fast and violent. The sound of rotors shreds the silence. Two slicks drop into a small clearing barely large enough to land. Doggunners scan the trailing with M60s. The team runs, boots slipping in the mud, hauling themselves aboard as the helicopters lift before the skids fully clear the ground. No one chases them. Back across the border, back into South Vietnam, the helicopters bank hard and disappear south. For the men of the recon team, the mission is over. For the intelligence community, it has just begun. At a forward operating base, the team debriefs behind locked doors. Maps are unrolled. Grease pencil marks appear quickly. The captain describes the road. The trucks. The bulldozers. The guards. The officer across the table listens without expression, jotting notes, already knowing how this will end. Reports are written. Then rewritten. References to Laos are softened. The scale of the operation is reduced. Words like highway and depot are replaced with trail and suspected movement. The photographs taken through long lenses are classified immediately, locked away under special access programs. The truth moves upward through layers of command, losing clarity with every step. By the time it reaches Washington, it is no longer a revelation. It is a problem. Officially, Laos is neutral. Officially, American forces respect that neutrality. Officially, there is no war beyond Vietnam's borders. But the evidence says otherwise. The Ho Chi Minh Trail is not a thin line snaking through jungle. It is a living network. Roads, fuel farms, repair stations, anti-aircraft sites. Entire regiments move through it under the protection of geography and political restraint. Some analysts push for action. Bomb the roads. Cut the arteries. Expand the war if necessary. Others push back harder. To acknowledge the truth is to admit that the war has already expanded. So the reports are buried. The language remains cautious. The missions continue. More teams are sent west. Some return with similar stories. Others do not return at all. By late 1967, MACV-SOG has confirmed beyond any doubt that the Ho Chi Minh Trail is sustaining the entire North Vietnamese war effort in the south. And yet, publicly, nothing changes. The hidden war remains hidden. And the men who walk its edges understand a brutal reality. They are fighting a conflict their own country refuses to admit exists. By early 1968, the missions no longer feel like reconnaissance. They feel like countdowns. MACV-SOG teams cross the border into Laos almost daily now, each insertion pushing deeper along the arteries feeding the war in South Vietnam. The rules remain the same. No insignia. No identification. No rescue if things go wrong in a way that cannot be denied. The jungle has changed too. Where once there were narrow footpaths, there are now graded roads. Where teams once observed porters carrying rice baskets, they now watch convoys guarded by heavy machine guns. Anti-aircraft positions appear on ridgelines, their barrels angled skyward, waiting for planes that officially are not allowed to be here. Every mission confirms the same thing. The enemy is not hiding anymore. One such team inserts near Chepon, a name that means nothing to the public but everything to those who know the trail. The recon element consists of 8 men. 2 Americans. 6 indigenous troops. They move for 2 days without contact, paralleling a supply route that seems to stretch endlessly through the jungle. On the 3rd morning, everything goes wrong. The point man freezes, then drops to a knee. The jungle ahead is too quiet. Birds have stopped calling. Insects have gone silent. The captain knows this sign. He raises his hand, signaling a halt. Then the first shot cracks. It misses, snapping through a tree trunk inches above a man's head. The second shot does not miss. One of the montagnards collapses, screaming, blood soaking into the leaves. The jungle erupts. Automatic fire rips through the undergrowth from multiple directions. The team dives for cover, returning fire blindly. Smoke grenades hiss as they are thrown, filling the air with choking white clouds. This is not a chance encounter. They have walked into a deliberate trap. The captain calls for air support, his voice controlled but urgent. The radio operator transmits the emergency code, knowing it may not matter. Enemy troops are already maneuvering, closing the distance, their movements coordinated and aggressive. The Ho Chi Minh Trail is no longer a rear area. It is defended. The team breaks contact as best they can, dragging the wounded man through tangled vines and steep ravines. Rounds snap overhead. Explosions tear up the ground behind them as grenades detonate. The jungle that once concealed them now channels them into predictable paths. After 40 minutes of movement, the captain makes the call. They cannot outrun this. He orders a stand. Claymore mines are set hastily along a narrow choke point. When the enemy pursues, the detonations tear through the advancing line, buying precious seconds. The team pours fire into the smoke, then withdraws again, leaving nothing behind but empty casings and blood. Finally, The radio crackles with hope. Fast movers are inbound. Fighter bombers scream overhead minutes later, dropping ordnance so close the concussion lifts men off their feet. Napalm ignites the jungle in sheets of fire. The enemy pulls back, not defeated, but delayed. Extraction comes hours later. 2 helicopters punch through the smoke, rotors chopping at burning leaves. The team boards under fire. Doggunners unleash long bursts into the trailing as the aircraft claw for altitude. One man does not make it. Back at base, the debrief is short and tense. Maps are marked. Enemy strength is estimated in the hundreds. The captain emphasizes that the contact occurred miles inside Laos, along a major logistics route. The response is muted. The report is classified. The death is recorded as occurring in an unspecified location. No mention of Laos appears in any document that leaves the secure room. But within MACV-SOG, something shifts. Recon teams begin carrying heavier weapons. Missions become shorter. Emphasis moves from observation to survival. The goal is no longer to learn how large the trail is. That question has already been answered. The goal now is to stay alive long enough to report anything at all. Meanwhile, enemy forces adapt just as quickly. Patrols increase. Decoy trails are built. Recon teams find themselves deliberately allowed to observe small movements, only to be ambushed when they attempt to withdraw. The jungle becomes a chessboard, and every move is anticipated. Despite this, the missions continue. Because somewhere above the men risking their lives, decision-makers still argue over what the evidence means. Some believe increased bombing will solve the problem. Others fear widening the war beyond control. And so the responsibility remains with the men on the ground. Men who see with their own eyes that the Ho Chi Minh Trail is not just sustaining the war. It is winning it. Every truck that rolls south. Every crate unloaded. Every regiment that passes unchallenged through Laos brings the conflict closer to a conclusion no one in Washington is ready to accept. And the men of MACV-SOG walk back into the jungle knowing that what they discover next may once again be something they are never allowed to say. By 1969, denial becomes impossible inside the wire. Within secure briefing rooms in Saigon and at command centers across the Pacific, the maps are now crowded with markings. Red grease pencil lines snake across Laos, tracing roads that should not exist. Dots mark fuel depots. Triangles indicate anti-aircraft sites. Each symbol represents a MACV-SOG team that went in close enough to confirm what satellites and high-altitude reconnaissance only hinted at. The picture is clear. The Ho Chi Minh Trail has matured into a logistical empire. Intelligence officers brief the same conclusion again and again. The North Vietnamese are moving entire divisions through Laos. Supplies are no longer carried by porters alone. They move by truck, by pipeline, by coordinated schedules that operate day and night. Bombing has slowed the flow, but it has not stopped it. And yet, publicly, nothing changes. The political cost of acknowledging this truth is too high. To admit the scale of operations in Laos is to admit the war has expanded far beyond its declared boundaries. It invites international condemnation. It raises legal questions. It undermines years of official statements. So the truth stays compartmentalized. Within MACV-SOG, however, the consequences are immediate and deadly. Enemy forces now actively hunt recon teams. Patrols are reinforced with dogs. Listening posts are established along known infiltration routes. Teams are detected faster. Extraction windows shrink. One mission illustrates the shift. A recon team inserts near a suspected pipeline segment, recently reported by aerial imagery. The pipeline itself is camouflaged, buried in places, exposed in others. Few move silently beneath the jungle floor, immune to weather and observation. As the team observes, they notice something worse. North Vietnamese troops are waiting. Not reacting. Waiting. The team realizes too late that they are the target. The pipeline is bait. Contact explodes at close range. Grenades detonate among the trees. Automatic fire cuts down branches and men alike. The team leader calls for immediate extraction, knowing the helicopters will have to fight their way in. When the slicks arrive, one is hit by ground fire and crashes just beyond the clearing. The surviving aircraft lifts off overloaded, leaving behind men who will not be recovered. The incident never appears in newspapers. Families receive vague notifications. The location is omitted. The reason is unspoken. Inside MACV-SOG, morale hardens into grim acceptance. These missions are no longer about stopping the trail. They are about documenting it. Proving it exists. Proving its scale. Even if the proof is locked away. Some officers push back. They argue that recon teams are being sacrificed to confirm facts already known. Others counter that without human confirmation, nothing can be acted upon. The debate never resolves. Meanwhile, bombing intensifies. Operations like Commando Hunt pour millions of tons of explosives onto Laos. Forests are stripped bare. Roads are cratered. Trucks burn. And yet, the trail survives. Repairs are made within hours. Bypasses appear overnight. Traffic resumes as soon as the bombs stop falling. The enemy adapts faster than the technology designed to stop him. MACV-SOG teams continue to report the same pattern. Destruction followed by rapid recovery. Each mission adds another layer of proof. Each mission cost more lives. By late 1969, a quiet understanding spreads among the men who go west. The war is not being lost for lack of courage or intelligence. It is being lost because the enemy's strategy operates beyond the limits imposed by politics. The Ho Chi Minh Trail is protected not just by jungle and guns, but by restraint. And restraint is something the men on the ground do not have the luxury to consider. They cross the border knowing that success will be classified and failure will be denied. They carry out orders knowing that what they find may change nothing at all. The trail continues to flow. And the truth, now undeniable to those closest to it, remains officially unspoken. By 1970, MACV-SOG exists in a strange limbo. It is one of the most active combat organizations in Southeast Asia, yet it operates almost entirely outside public awareness. Its missions are among the most dangerous of the war, yet its successes are rarely acknowledged. The men who serve in it understand that they are fighting a war that, officially, does not exist. The Ho Chi Minh Trail now stretches like a living organism across Laos and Cambodia. Pipelines snake through valleys. Roads split, rejoin, and vanish under canopy. Dummy truck parks appear to draw bombs while rail convoys move elsewhere. Anti-aircraft guns are repositioned constantly, their crews experienced and confident. For recon teams, the margin for survival grows thinner. Insertion zones are compromised faster. Enemy forces seem to anticipate routes and timing. The jungle feels crowded now, no longer an empty expanse but a battlefield saturated with eyes and ears. One team inserts near the Cambodian border, tasked with confirming reports of a new supply hub. The intelligence suggests a temporary facility. What they find instead is permanent construction. Bunkers reinforced with timber and earth. Camouflaged storage sheds. A medical station. A command post with field telephones running into the ground. This is not logistics support. It is a rear headquarters. The team documents everything they can. Sketches. Timings. Guard rotations. They know photographs will be seized and classified. Still, they take them. Proof matters, even if it never leaves a vault. As they prepare to withdraw, they realize the forest behind them is no longer empty. They are being shadowed. Movement without sound. Shapes that appear and disappear between trees. The enemy does not attack. He follows. Waiting for the moment when the team is most vulnerable. The captain orders a change in direction, then another. The pressure does not ease. At dusk, the first contact comes. A burst of fire from close range. One man goes down, wounded but alive. The team responds instantly, breaking contact and moving hard. There will be no clean extraction. Air support is requested, but the response is delayed. Anti-aircraft fire in the area has made helicopter approaches dangerous. The team spends the night moving, stopping only to bind wounds and listen. The jungle never sleeps. At first light, fast movers arrive, tearing open the canopy with explosions. The team signals for extraction amid smoke and debris. The helicopters come in low and fast, barely touching down before lifting again. This time, everyone makes it out. Back at base, the debrief follows a familiar pattern. The findings are acknowledged. The implications are understood. The response is limited. Within MACV-SOG, frustration turns into something darker. The men know they are not stopping the flow of men and supplies. They are observing it, recording it, dying to confirm it. The trail continues to function, and with each passing month, the enemy grows stronger. In Washington, discussions shift toward disengagement, Vietnamization, withdrawal. The focus turns toward ending American involvement rather than expanding it. For MACV-SOG, this creates a cruel paradox. As the political will to fight diminishes, the need to understand the enemy's capabilities increases. Recon missions continue even as the broader war winds down. The risk remains. The reward diminishes. Some veterans later describe this period as the most dangerous of all. The enemy senses the shift. Pressure increases. Ambushes become more aggressive. Recon teams are treated not as nuisances, but as high-value targets. Despite everything, the missions do not stop. Because the hidden war in Laos never stopped. Every report confirms the same conclusion. The Ho Chi Minh Trail has succeeded. It has absorbed punishment, adapted, and endured. It has done exactly what it was designed to do. And the men who walked its edges understand that when the war ends, few will ever know how close they came to its heart. By 1971, the end is no longer theoretical. American involvement in Vietnam is shrinking. Units redeploy. Bases close. Helicopters lift off for the last time from places that once buzzed with constant movement. Official statements speak of progress, of transition, of responsibility handed over. But along the Ho Chi Minh Trail, nothing slows. MACV-SOG teams still cross the border, fewer in number now, but no less exposed. Their missions are quieter, shorter, more surgical. They confirm what everyone inside the system already knows. The trail is intact. One final recon patrol inserts near a stretch of road first observed years earlier. The same valley. The same ridgeline. But everything else has changed. The road is wider. The traffic heavier. Anti-aircraft guns sit openly along the slopes, no longer hidden. The enemy does not fear escalation anymore. The team observes from concealment, recording details out of habit more than hope. They know these reports will not alter strategy. They will become part of a historical record sealed behind classification stamps. As they withdraw, no one chases them. They are no longer the priority. The war is moving toward its conclusion, and the trail has already done its job. Back in Saigon, the final debriefs take place. Boxes of reports, maps, photographs, and recordings are sealed and stored. Much of it will remain classified for decades. Some of it will never be released at all. The official history of the war will focus on battles fought in Vietnam proper. On politics. On protest. On withdrawal. The hidden war in Laos will receive only passing mention. For the men of MACV-SOG, the silence lasts years. They return home without parades, without public recognition, often without being able to explain where they served or what they did. Many carry memories they cannot share. Others carry the weight of men lost in places that officially do not exist. Only much later, when documents are declassified and stories emerge, does the picture begin to form. The Ho Chi Minh Trail was not a myth or a minor supply route. It was the backbone of the war. A vast, resilient network that sustained North Vietnam's campaign and ultimately outlasted the political will of its enemy. MACV-SOG saw this before almost anyone else. They walked its roads. They watched its convoys. They bled along its edges. And they reported what they could, knowing the truth would be buried. In the end, their greatest discovery was not just the scale of the trail. It was the realization that wars are not only fought on battlefields, but in the space between what is known and what is allowed to be said. This was the war beyond the war, seen clearly by those who fought it, and officially, never spoken.